Hi guys, this is Zane from Ancient Gallery and welcome back to Drawing and Discovering Dinosaurs. Today we're going to be drawing a classic dinosaur that anybody who has the mildest interest in dinosaurs is going to know, which is Stegosaurus. So let's get started, and today we're going to also talk about some misconceptions and just some trivia. So let's get started. Alright, so Stegosaurus lived in the late Jurassic along with its close relative Kentrosaurus, whom we covered in an earlier episode. Um, it was very similar, except it was larger. Instead of spikes, it actually had plates. It still had spikes though, just not everywhere on its body. Also, it lived in North America while its cousin Kentrosaurus was from Africa. So those are the main differences, basically. So Stegosaurus was a herbivore, deviating from our mostly carnivore-dominated series. We have a herbivore here. And Stegosaurus is famously known for being the dumbest dinosaur, and well, yes, it was the dumbest dinosaur. It was, according to the myth, apparently Stegosaurus has a brain the size of a walnut. Now, this isn't true. It was probably more like the size of a ping pong ball or like a small orange, but definitely not, say, a walnut. There was also a mistaken belief back in the 1800s when it was discovered that Stegosaurus had two brains. One was in the head, and another was supposedly stuck in the hip. And this is, of course, ridiculous. No animal, no vertebrate at least, has more than one brain. Octopi do have 8 brains, but they're not like brains as in human brains. There's just bundles of nerves. Stegosaurus is embedded in popular culture and just general paleontology as one of the most recognizable dinosaurs after T-Rex. This is due to its popularity in films and among toddlers. Stegosaurus, however, has had many portrayals that did not tend to represent it correctly, or were just plain wrong. Also, there are a lot of mysteries about Stegosaurus that were never really solved, so we're going to talk about that as well. So, first of all, the big mystery is, or are these plates on Stegosaurus's back that I am drawing right now? The question is, what were they used for? Now, these are solid bone, and they were probably covered in some layer of skin or keratin, kind of like your fingernails. However, their exact purpose is not clear. So, the main hypothesis here is that it was used for display. So, a lot of animals, especially birds, they have colorful feathers, like weird types of feathers on their tails, in order to attract mates. So, kind of like that. Another reason is that it was used to scare predators, because, Stegosaurus had a lot of predators. The late Jurassic wasn't exactly a safe place to live in. There are predators like Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, and a few other bad boys, just to name a few. Torvosaurus, Megalosaurus. There were plenty of predators in the Jurassic, so yeah, you would need some kind of defense to fend off against all of those predators. So, a theory is that these were used to make Stegosaurus look bigger, kind of like when a cat feels threatened, it kind of like arches its back and puffs its fur out. So this is basically the same thing that we see happening with Stegosaurus, Or that's what one theory says. Another theory is that the plates were actually used for defense, in which they were covered with keratin and they were used as kind of like armor, although this is widely debated as to whether the plates could actually resist the force of an Allosaurus cracking down on it. We really don't know. So, yeah, that basically we have no idea what the plates were for. Something that we do know what they were used for are the so-called thagomizers, or the tail spikes that we see here. Now, these are, in our drawing here, they're kind of pointing downward, but that's just because of, that's just for perspective. In reality, they would be pointing probably like completely horizontally, and definitely not as downwardly tilted as shown here. This is just for, visualizing purposes. People actually used to think, though, that the Stegosaurus' spikes pointed upwards, and when in fact they pointed out sideways. So, people often portray them as sticking upwards from the tail. In fact, that probably wouldn't have happened at all. Alright, so fine now. Stegosaurus is part of an old lineage. They split off from another family called the ornithopods. For example, say Lambeosaurus. They split off from the ancestors of Lambeosaurus, probably around like 190 million years ago in the early Jurassic. So this is an old lineage. Stegosaurus was thought to be the last of the Stegosaurs because it lived in like the end of the late Jurassic, right before the Cretaceous period came in, and so it was commonly thought to be the last dinosaur, last Stegosaur, not the last dinosaur, until new finds showed that in fact many descendants of the group survived in India and Australia, mostly in the southern hemisphere, but all the North American stegosaurs died out by the end of the Jurassic. Okay, so some interesting facts here. So basically, Stegosaurus has gotten a lot of media coverage. Like we mentioned, most people know about it. It's a very common dinosaur in games, movies. It was first made famous, like really famous, by the novel Jurassic Park. Although it didn't appear in the movie, its role was replaced by a Triceratops. But it was sick in the book. So it returned, though, in the Lost World novel. Actually, no, not the novel, the movie, in which it played a big appearance in the beginning of the movie. So it was actually portrayed with its spikes, the tail spikes, sticking up in the air, which, as we just said, is anatomically incorrect. It was also portrayed as being way too big. One thing that they actually got right, though, was that they portrayed a baby, and the baby had incredibly large eyes, kind of like our dinosaur here has. I think universally most like vertebrate babies have large heads and eyes. It just like makes them cuter, obviously, and it like actually encourages parents to look after them and not eat them. So that's one thing that Jurassic Park finally got right about dinosaurs that we actually don't really think of. I mean, We always think of dinosaurs as being these like ferocious beasts that always like kill people and stuff. Um, what people never really think about is that a lot of dinosaurs actually looked after their young and were extremely protective. Even like predatory dinosaurs like T-Rex would have looked after their babies. Kind of like modern grizzlies do. They were probably incredibly protective, so you would never want to go near a T-Rex or any dinosaur for that matter with a baby. Stegosaurus especially, because we've seen from fossils that a stab from a stegosaur tail spike could effectively end your life. Okay, so that's mostly it about Stegosaurus. Oh yeah, so one thing to mention is that Stegosaurus actually probably would have had like an ecological like probably function similar to that of modern wildebeest today. So wildebeest are like these buffalo like creatures if you didn't know. Anyway, they live on the African savanna and they're not really that good at seeing, or they're not particularly like extremely smart or fast, but what they do is that they have horns that even lions are afraid of. So zebras and impalas, like the smaller herbivores that can see well and are more intelligent, they stick together in big like interspecies herds for added safety. So this would probably have worked in the Jurassic too, with smaller dinosaurs in the late Jurassic, like Camptosaurus, which is an ancestor of Lambeosaurus. They would also probably have like lived in the safety of a stegosaur herd, and Stegosaurus would have also relied on them for like um, it's kind of like security cameras. I guess you could call them security cameras. So yeah, that's pretty much all we have for Stegosaurus. So we're just gonna finish drawing here. I'm kind of drawing Stegosaurus in a kind of swampy, bog-like place. Um, I'm not actually completely sure if there were bogs in North America, but there probably was because the Jurassic was extremely tropical and had a lot of oxygen. So, yeah, probably lots of bogs, marshes, stuff like that. Alright, so we're almost done. Don't worry about the blue fern. We're gonna paint that green in just a sec. Alright, so alright, time to start shading. So we already shaded our Stegosaurus while I was talking about the how the thagamizers worked, I think. Oh yes, and we're just gonna shade the background in now. And I'm kind of adding like a shadow here. Alright, so actually wait. We have not fully shaded our dinosaur yet because I've completely forgot to shade the plates. Speaking of plates, there's one more theory. Although this is not really that popular now, one theory is that the plates were used for thermoregulation, and it's a big word, so it basically means that the Stegosaurus is keeping a stable body temperature. Like, you've got a fever and not everything's right in your body when your temperature's higher than like a 99 degrees Fahrenheit. So a Stegosaurus would probably have to maintain its own body temperature, and the plates would have helped like attract sunlight and just like generally spread heat throughout the animal's body. So that's another theory for what the plates do, but we really don't know. So it really matters on interpretation. Alright, so now we're truly finished. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!